heavy machines, light brains. Watch as these truckers and operators turn work sites into chaos, tipping, crashing, and proving that not everyone should be behind the wheel. It's a master class in how not to do your job. Unbelievable. Talk about a disaster waiting to happen. These so-called truckers and heavy equipment operators take on tough jobs, but they bring pure chaos instead of skill. From runaway rigs to toppled excavators, it's a crash course in what not to do. When bad driving meets heavy machinery, disaster is guaranteed. Reckless oil tanker disaster. First, this truck driver flew down the road with an oil tanker, ignoring traffic signals. Suddenly, he swerved ahead, lost control, and crashed into a car. Both vehicles took serious damage.
The tanker truck thought it could outsmart the yellow light and zoom to the intersection like it was in a race, but when you're hauling that much steel, it's more of a slow and steady wins the race situation. Or at least that's how it's supposed to work.
Skidding truck on an icy road. Next up, on an icy road in America, a truck came speeding through. The driver first swerved left to avoid a car, but felt the truck slipping. He quickly tried to steer right, but the truck skidded and toppled over before he could regain control.
This is the community of American truck drivers. Welcome to another video.
Excavator demolition gone wrong. This was a failure like no other. An excavator was brought in to demolish a building. The operator struck it precisely, but instead of collapsing safely, the entire structure came crashing on the excavator.
Oh my god! Oh!
Excavator falls off a truck. A truck was hauling an excavator, and everything seemed fine until it took a turn. The moment the wheels shifted, the heavy machine lost balance. Within seconds, the excavator tipped over and crashed to the ground. JCB crane loading fail. Next, a JCB crane was loading massive boulders onto a truck. Everything seemed under control until disaster struck. One heavy rock slipped, crashing straight under the truck. Instantly, the truck's body caved in, leaving a huge dent. Truck tips over at high speed. A truck came speeding down the road, and the driver pushed it to the limit. Without warning, he yanked the wheel to the right. The massive vehicle lost balance instantly and tilted dangerously. Within seconds, the truck began tipping over. Disaster was unavoidable.
Alright, highway clip. Looks like it's from a semi-truck just veers off.
Truck dumping dirt fails badly. Next up, a truck loaded with dirt was being unloaded. The driver lifted the back to dump the load. Everything seemed fine, but the moment he moved the truck slightly forward, disaster struck. The entire truck flipped over completely. A shocking failure caught on camera. Speeding truck loses its cargo. A truck loaded with bricks was speeding down the road. The reckless driver didn't consider what would happen if they fell. And then it happened. Bricks tumbled off one side, scattering across the road. At that moment, his driving skills completely failed. Overloaded truck disaster. A truck was overloaded with extremely heavy cargo. As the driver attempted to turn, the weight shifted uncontrollably. Within moments, the entire truck lost balance and toppled over. The cargo was scattered everywhere. A complete failure in truck driving caught on camera. truck crashes into overhead signs. Next, a truck was speeding, but the clueless driver forgot to lower its rear section. He kept going full speed until disaster struck. The truck got stuck in overhead road signs, smashing them to pieces. Yet the driver just kept going.
الله يلعن امك يا شيخ يا الفاشل الله يلعن امك.
Logs falling off a speeding truck. Meanwhile, a truck loaded with massive logs was racing down the road. The reckless speed made the logs unstable. They started tumbling off the trailer, creating a dangerous mess behind them. A perfect example of careless driving turning into total failure.
Тех, кто сел недавно, вот об этом человеке. И хозяин прислал авторитетом портрет резидента. Нужный ответ.
Overloaded coal truck tips over. A truck overloaded with coal descended on rough, uneven road. Unstable ground made things worse. Suddenly, the truck lost balance and tipped over. Within seconds, coal spilled everywhere. A complete disaster caused by poor judgment and bad driving. Truck loses control and crashes. A truck came speeding down the road, and the driver pushed it too hard. Suddenly, he lost control. The massive vehicle swerved wildly and crashed onto one side. The impact was so strong that the roadside railing shattered completely. A reckless disaster. Boulders falling from a truck. Meanwhile, a truck loaded with massive boulders was climbing uphill. As it struggled forward, disaster struck. The front wheels suddenly lifted off the ground. In an instant, the heavy rocks slid backward, crashing down. Overloaded truck tips over at construction site. Moving on, a heavily overloaded truck stood still at a construction site. However, the weight was too much. Without warning, it suddenly tipped over to the right. The driver, realizing the disaster, jumped out just in time, barely escaping as the truck crashed down. Reckless driver swerving on footpath. Next, this driver seemed to think roads were optional. He recklessly swerved the truck onto the footpath repeatedly, causing massive destruction. With every turn, chaos followed. It was as if he had no idea how to drive at all.
Coming through. Don't get in my way. A bloody red light. I'll go around that red light. Straight down here, shortcut. Yeah.
Tractor flips while being loaded. Meanwhile, a tractor was loaded onto a truck, but things turned disastrous. As it climbed up, it suddenly flipped backward and crashed to the ground. The heavy equipment failed miserably, turning a simple task into complete chaos. Crane loses control, causing wreckage. A crane was pulling a truck when everything turned disastrous. The operator lost control, sending both machines crashing backward like a landslide of bricks. In an instant, the entire operation turned into a jaw-dropping wreck. Excavator tipping over. Next, an excavator was working at a construction site when things turned terrifying. Without warning, it tipped over and crashed hard onto the ground. The entire site became chaotic as dust and debris filled the air. A total disaster. Bulldozer falls into deep water. Elsewhere, a group of bulldozers was hard at work when disaster struck. One driver lost control, and the massive machine rolled into deep water. It disappeared beneath the surface within seconds, leaving everyone in shock. An absolute nightmare. excavator sinking into thick mud. Unfortunately, disaster struck. An excavator slipped into thick, sticky mud, sinking deep. The scene turned intense. Almost a complete failure. Yet, against all logic, the driver kept pushing, convinced he could escape.
Work till you're dead, but then stay a couple more hours because it's time and a half. Be a man.
Digger falls off a truck. Then chaos broke out. The driver was too sure of himself and didn't pay attention as they loaded a digger onto a truck. In seconds, awful things happened. After losing balance, the digger fell off the vehicle, a classic case of irresponsible stupidity. Truck with excavator crashes into bridge. Tragically, a truck loaded with an excavator tried to pass beneath a bridge. The mistake of height became disastrous as the excavator smashed concrete in the bridge. Speeding truck loses balance. Brace yourself for the next level of stupidity. A truck carried an excavator up a rough, uneven road. Instead of slowing down, the driver charged ahead at full speed. Total disaster. The excavator lost balance and came crashing down. Truck crashes into bridge with raised bed. Then, something bad was about to happen. When a truck got close to a bridge, its driver forgot that the back part of it was raised. After a few seconds, boom! The truck crashed into the bridge and broke apart instantly. Then, there was a fiery blast. One mistake leads to destruction. Truck plunges off a bridge. Horrifically, a speeding truck lost control near a bridge. It plunged off the edge within seconds, crashing into a car below. The impact was brutal. Metal twisted, glass shattered, and the driver tragically went down with the wreck, unable to survive. Truck slipping on a wet road. Next, unbelievable stupidity. Someone stupid ran a big truck too fast down a wet road. The tires quickly lost their firmness, and the truck slid everywhere. Luckily, it stops just in time. If it had gone any further, a terrible accident would have happened. If these insane crashes had you on the edge of your seat, just wait. There's even crazier action ahead. Which moment stunned you the most? Tell us in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more jaw-dropping disasters.